All right, welcome back. Episode 7, Oakland 68's podcast. It's your host, Anson. With me today, Dennis, Kevin, who is the newest 68's member on the board, and familiar face, it's your boy, Alex Espinoza. What's up, man?
What's going on?
How you been?
Good, dude. Ready to talk some roots, baby. Even though I'm still in Mexico, still
You
go
are
roots.
true, true.
I'll be
But
back.
we had a little change of plans today. We were supposed to have a guest, Edreece, who works with the Roots, but he is currently at the Coliseum running around, gearing up for Saturday. But before we get into that, we never talked Fans Fest. The last time we had an episode was talking about Fans Fest, and Fans Fest was earlier this month, which is crazy to think about. Feels like it would happen like a year ago. Dennis, you want to talk about your experience? Because I know that everyone had their own experience as a 68th board member working Fans Fest. So, what was your perspective of it?
I had a hell of a time. I mean, honestly, the day flew by because it just felt like there was so much going on and there was so much space to explore. It almost felt like at times I don't want to say there was too much to do, but just man, it was hard to keep up at times because I was running from one area to the next, back and forth, and before I knew it, oh crap, 2-3 hours flew by, and oh, I didn't get a chance to check out this player or something. So it was just, a lot of good chaos, I guess I would phrase it as, and I had a good time.
Like, are there any comparisons from this past, the one from the earlier this month versus the one last year that you noticed? Do you think it was like more tame? Do you think it was like the vibes were still the same way?
I think the vibes were the same. I think the turnout was pretty much the same. Since it was a different venue, it was a little hard to judge. For folks that were there, you guys will remember, we had, beer stands out, outside the Prescott Market, and that was around like a whole corner. And then you go back into the Prescott Market, and there's a whole area in there we were doing stuff. And then actually inside the Prescott Market, there was also, food vendors and stuff doing their thing. So there was just so many areas. That's why, like I mentioned, it was just there was people really spread out. So I think it was nice to have more space to operate. People weren't as bunched up, but there was definitely some times where I felt like, oh, I feel cut off in this area. Let me go, around the corner here, see what's going on, try and get a better sense of, the vibe over here. So, that's not necessarily a complaint, but I think the biggest comparison to last year would be that last year, it felt like a little bit more free flowing because everything was, a little bit more centralized. So that's gonna be something for us on the board to think about as we, go forward with Fans Fest next year and even other events in general.
Look at you guys are like official event planners now, dude. You guys are like talking logistics, like, oh, we gotta talk about crowd control, crowd flow.
Crowd control.
No.
How can we get better here?
Yeah.
Certified event planners,
There's always room for
yeah.
like improvement, though. It was funny because like this year, I felt that it was way more spread out, which is not a bad thing. Last year, we obviously that was the biggest one we did I mean, to date was last year. This year was a little bigger in different ways, but last year it was more like, wow, we have like blocks literally blocked off for us with fencing, and we got security, and we're like, oh, this is huge. The one this year, well, last year it felt a little more condensed or packed, I would say, not which it wasn't a bad thing, and it was still free flowing, but this year there's just so much space for people to walk around. Like I was working the autograph booth pretty much the whole time, and the line was so long down the block, I was like, I can't go anywhere. So I was just saying, so if you got an autograph, there's a 400% chance you saw me there. I was the whole time trying to hold the tent from blowing over. I got the chance to walk around the venue maybe 2 or 3 times. Prescott Market was hella packed the whole time. That was cool. That was cool to see. That's gonna be fire when it's baller season because there's so much to do, so much good food there, so many good drinks. The tap room's gonna be open. The stage area was cool. I think it was perfectly set up. We saw it was the most the craziest group of people that we put together to date, if you think about it, because we had like professional wrestlers from AEW just there. Warren G just pops out.
Yeah, Warren G,
We
dude,
have
that was
former
hilarious.
MVPs. It's just like, oh, and it didn't hit me that day, but then I think it was like maybe 3 days later. I went to get a haircut, and my barber hit me up. He was supposed to go to Fans Fest, but they couldn't close the shop down. There's only two of them manning it down. It was on a Saturday, which I get. So he was like, "Hey, like, how did your event in the West go?" And I was like, "Oh, it was cool. It was good, man. Yeah." Warren G popped up, and I just like said it casually, and he's like, "What? What?" He's like regulators, Warren G. I was like, I mean, yeah,
Yeah, man, the G child.
yeah, so I that's when it hit me. I was like, yeah, that was pretty cool. So I don't know. Kevin, you came in pretty like towards the end, like the tailwind. They was it did you notice anything different from this year versus last year?
I mean, I mean, so yeah, I showed up late, and I really liked the music that was going on. I was sitting there with Dennis, and like I think I had like some free whiskey. I was like, oh my god, this is perfect. Later on, I got walking around enjoying myself, so I was like, yeah, this is perfect. Like the biggest difference between last year and this year to me was like, I think last year it was like really sunny. It was like a really bright sunny day, where this year was like a little muggy.
Hmm.
But that was really the only difference.
Yeah, we got lucky with the weather. Like I remember it was raining that whole week, and then I think it rained a little bit that Friday the night before, and then Saturday, I was like, as long as it's no like 0% chance of rain or 2% chance of rain, I'm good with it. So we got lucky with that. That's I mean, if we're complaining about it,
Dude, what
the rain, then that not being a factor, then we did a good job. So
I was gonna say, what about like Canseco and Tejada and stuff like that? Did you guys have any interactions with them? And like, what was that like?
Hey, can I let me
yes,
take that one because I have some thoughts on Canseco, man.
go ahead.
He was obviously one of my childhood heroes. I mean, I was born '83, so when I first started watching A's baseball, I was a Canseco, you're either Canseco kid or McGuire. I was a Canseco kid. So I loved Jose Canseco, and I've seen him, when he played, with the Pittsburgh Diamonds in the Independent League about 10 years ago, 2015. Um, and I'm pretty familiar with Jose Canseco, the kind of eccentric personality he is. So I kind of understand. But I was really pissed when he got on the mic and said, he basically started saying, "Yeah, wouldn't it be great to see me be the manager of the Oakland A's in Las Vegas?" And everyone was just kind of like,
And it's physically impossible for you to be the Oakland A's manager in Las Vegas.
Right. I mean,
First
I
thing
know, I
possible,
know, I know
but
he was trying to phrase it that way to try to, soften the blow and try to still get his hype. It's like, one, Jose, you got to understand, like, no, fuck that. And two, Jose Canseco, Major League Baseball hates your ass, man. There's no way they're never going to get anywhere near a fucking dugout. No, it's impossible. You're not going to be managing shit.
I remember it was
As soon as he grabbed the mic and started his speech off with that, because I was down the block a little bit, doing the some alcohol sales. So when he grabbed the mic, I was like, let me walk a little bit closer. And as soon as he said that shit, I was like, all right, well, I think I've heard enough. I'm just gonna go back down the other way and grab a beer and just not and just tune him out because I'm not listening to that bullshit.
I
So that's
remember
how I feel about Jose Canseco being there.
I remember like like the second he said that, everyone was just like collectively was just like, what? Like read the room. Like I don't
Yeah, you,
think
you could have heard a pin drop. It was just kind of like, yeah. I mean, other than that, he actually said some pretty cool, interesting things besides that bullshit. Um, like I said, I kind of walked the other way, so I heard a few things he was talking about, but otherwise, that really kind of dampened the mood on that. But I mean, we're all familiar with Jose Canseco. We all know, the crazy antics he's had on social media over the past few years. So you know, I'm, I'm not surprised. Definitely not surprised. A little bit disappointed, but what else? I mean, at least he kept it interesting because he also said some really, straight up off the cuff remarks about steroids and stuff. So, I thought that was that was pretty interesting.
yeah, like low key, I think in my opinion, from working the autograph line, the biggest, most popular person there was a person that no one would expect, which is Lance Blankenship. Oh
What?
my, oh
Really?
my God. People were like, he was talking to everyone and like he was holding the lineup. So during the last session, it was Ruben Sierra, Jose Canseco, and Lance, right? and Ruben signing and the manager that he was with, clearly they've been doing these signings for years. So he had this thing where it's like, okay, how we're gonna do this? Ruben's gonna sign one thing. We're gonna keep the line going, keep the line going, keep the line going. Jose would talk to people. He would sign autographs. He would pretty much sign two or three at a time. I get it. Lance would sign whatever and share stories with you, right? And so like towards the end of the event or towards the end of the event and the last signing, Ruben Sierra's manager was like, "Hey man, you may want to speed up the line." And I'm like, "Bro, like it's fine. Like smiles are on everyone's faces. Everyone's having a great time." And then Jose was just like, "Look at Lance over here, keeping the line up." He's like, "No, really, like keep it." I was like, you know what? I was like, "Nah, man. Like I get it, but you sign your stuff."
Yeah.
He's taking the time. He gets it. He's connecting with the fans, and to me, that's what Fans Fest is. It's like you're connecting with players who care about you, signing everything, sharing stories. And I got to the point where I wanted everyone to get their stuff signed, so I was like, okay, let's keep it going. But people were like hanging out to the side talking to Lance, so I think Lance was like the most popular person there besides Miggy. Miggy was cool.
He played at Cal too, right?
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah. He was signing.
So he knew. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Lance, he was cool. Jamal Weeks was really cool too. He took a lot of time talking with fans, so it was more of like, I wouldn't say lesser known, but because everyone knows everyone who was there.
Yeah.
But it was just the players who weren't necessarily the marquee names were the most popular ones. I mean, Jose is a name, Miguel's a name. Like I get it.
Former MVPs. Yeah,
Yeah, of course. And Ruben Sierra, people were coming from all types of fan
Yeah,
bases.
Ruben Sierra was a huge player too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my take.
Speaking of Ruben Sierra, was it him when a few of the guys got on stage, and I can't remember who asked the question. I can't remember if it was Rick Tittle or somebody else, but somebody asked him the question like, "What's your favorite Coliseum memory?" And was it Ruben Sierra that was like, "The Kingdom."
What?
It was like, wait a minute.
So he just had zero.
Your
He had
favorite
nothing,
Coliseum memory is a visiting stadium?
I was like, yeah, I went there as an A's player. No, he didn't say that, but like not the first thing on top of his head, or he probably got thrown off.
It must be something cool must have happened in Seattle, man. Maybe he had a special lady there or something. So that when he went to Seattle, he was like, oh yeah. That's what I remember.
Well, I love how Mark Hanna, like, also, even though he wasn't there, he like sent that video. He's like all about it. Like, I don't know. I think like he would be like the most popular guy at the thing if you ever had him there, Like, I think you're right. It's more kind of like fan favorites kind of things, maybe not like the MVP types, Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Which I get because it's like you always, I feel like I'm always connected to like those random players where it's like, oh, he had that one hit like to extended the rally, and it's like he's not a player who you would necessarily remember, like
not a huge name, but a guy that was a solid guy that people who know the game are going to remember that player. You know what I mean? Because he contributed something major, and he made a memory for you. So that's always going to stand out. It's funny you say that because one guy I think about, when we talk about Coco's walk-off, against the Tigers back in 2012. One guy I think about, a lot of people sometimes overlook, because Seth Smith was the guy who had that double.
Yep.
I always thought Seth, that's a guy, right? A random guy, pretty solid career, not like a huge name, but people who know baseball know Seth Smith. And I always thought he was a good Oakland A. So I think that's a good example of what you're talking about. Like solid role player guys who they stand out for one reason or another, and they have a lot of cherished memories that they made for people.
In case
they probably love to get the love from the fans too, just to like they probably just love that. Yeah.
Even with Seth Smith, remember we had that every Sunday where like Seth Smith always hitting the balls on Sundays, like because he always had like a single for some reason, like he was always on base on Sundays. So yeah, it's players like that.
Exactly, man. It's always whether it's something big like he had a hit in this playoff game to keep the rally going, or to get the rally started, whatever it is, or even if it's just sometimes like I shared a moment with this guy one time. It's like every player or every person who goes to a game, they have players that stand out to them for one reason or another. That's not always necessarily about, oh yeah, they were the dopest one that, they hit 40 jacks a year, or they were the guy who was, the back-to-back MVP. It's just for one reason or another, there's players who stand out to us. And, it's always cool to remember those guys.
Well, if we're gonna transition away from baseball, we're gonna keep it at the Coliseum. The theme of this episode is celebration of Oakland sports with Oakland roots, returning back to Oakland in general. No more Cal State East Bay, no more going to Las Positas, no more Timbuktu, wherever detours they had, which is great because they're back at home. Home debut at the Oakland Coliseum, March 22nd. The match starts at 7 p.m. I believe the parking lot's open at 4. Best believe Oakland 68s. We will be tailgating in Lot B. We are going to have a band. We're going to have tacos, all you can eat tacos for $20, I believe. If you want to come through, come support. Oaklandish will be out there. I believe Weed Maps will be out there too. It's going to be a very Oakland tailgate vibe out there. The days of showing up to the parking lot for an opening game, worrying about a team leaving are non-existent right now. The team is actually literally here to move here and to invest here and to stay here. I'm very excited about it. I know that they are, I believe, at 20, little over 22,000 tickets sold. They are on pace to break the USL home attendance record. I believe they can do way more than that. There's a huge vibe in Oakland that I have not felt in a long, long time, and that is just proof that if you invest in the town will love you back. So, if you guys want to chime in, because I don't want to take over this whole episode because I'm just jumping through my chair right now. How y'all feel about Saturday? How do you feel about the Roots coming home, and what does it mean to you in the town?
I mean, I guess I'll get started. I mean, I'm pretty excited because one, I'll actually be able to. I mean, I live in East Oakland, so I'll be able to ride my bike to the Coliseum to actually go to the game, and then I think Bike East Bay is going to be there to manage that. Tacos. Did I mention tacos?
Mhm.
And then it just sounds like a really exciting day where you can like watch some soccer. And honestly, like there should be more soccer involved in Oakland, to begin with. So I'm pretty pumped up for it. I mean, even though tomorrow's Friday, tomorrow's gonna be like my Friday Eve to that going Saturday.
What about you, Dennis?
I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Shoot, Too Short's going to be there, so that's going to be pretty awesome.
I didn't even
You
mention
know, it's gonna be nice to get back in the parking lot and see a lot of people from the community that I've basically been cut off from, because of all the drama going on with this, relocation and whatnot. Because that's one of the things that was one of the biggest draws for me. I mean, obviously, I was always a fan of baseball and other sports and whatnot, but it's all about your community of people. That's what always keeps you coming back. So, even if it wasn't soccer, it could be any other sport. We could be, there could be a rugby match going on. But if I know that my folks are going to be there, then I'm going to be there. I mean, I'm a sports guy, so I'll watch any sport anywhere. But
Yeah.
like I said, when your community is there with you, that just enhances your experience that much more. So I'm looking forward to it. Even it's going to feel exactly like it's always felt. Just like a good party.
Dude, I think it's gonna be so awesome. I'm just happy for you guys. Like, I'm just happy for Oakland fans. Like, it's just gonna be a pure like celebration, And I think the visuals are gonna be cool too. I think it does send a message, like, Oakland still is a sports town. I think that's like, for me, I think that's the biggest thing. I don't know, man. Like when the A's were really trying in 2018 and 19, the Coliseum was so much fun, dude. That place, it was like that was like the golden years, or like the last era of like fun times or whatever. So I'm just stoked for Oakland to do that. And I just see all this momentum too. I don't know, like with the ballers too, like all these celebrity investors are jumping on board with the ballers and stuff. Like I just think it's really cool what's happening in Oakland, but like the Roots are just really jumping it, like, they're just really all in, and they're not BSing or anything. And that's what I think. I think that's what people realize. Like we're, fans are, especially after what happened with the A's, they're not stupid, They know when the team cares and when they don't. And yeah, the Roots are really about it. So And I think it's cool that they have like this promotion relegation is going to be starting too. Like I think the USL, like I just think it's cool. Like I don't know, there could be something here, you know. I don't know. Big picture, you know. Yeah.
My favorite part about the promotion relegation, it's like it's funny for American sports owners because they're like, oh God, we have to actually spend money and try. Like it's
Yeah, they're like, oh shit, wait, I gotta do something now.
MLS is
Yeah.
like, whoa, wait, what? We gotta do what? Like we gotta
Yeah.
field a team. So that's
I'll be honest, man. I don't know if I'm really a fan of promotion or relegation. I mean, I get what they're going for. I get the concept, but with promotion and relegation, you're not going to have like the '87 Twins. You're not going to have like, the 2012 A's. Like those teams wouldn't exist because, oh yeah, you won in the lower league and now you just get promoted to the upper league. You didn't actually win anything, like so. I don't know, man. Like I'm really torn on promotion and relegation, man. I mean, like theoretically it sounds cool, but I also like the idea of like, it's a new season, everyone's on the same playing field, and even the long shot, even though it doesn't happen often, I mean, sometimes some teams break through, even though the odds are against them, and they win it all.
but
Um,
yeah.
so yeah. I mean, I'll also be real. Like, I don't follow soccer as closely as other sports. I'm a pretty casual soccer fan.
Right.
So I mean, but I definitely understand that's a huge part of the sport in Europe. So, um, I'm curious to see how it's going to go. But like I said, there's also a part of me that's like, man, sometimes I like the idea of like, oh yeah, the underdog, came through and did that shit. You know what I mean?
And it's not till 2027 also. I'm just reading about it right now. So it's not like happening
Right,
right away,
right.
but still, yeah, it's coming up. But I think it's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. So does that mean they're gonna start competing with MLS? Like that's what I don't get. I
That's
have to do.
that is what I want, and it would prevent teams like the San Jose Quakes from like, BSing everyone around and be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna put together the worst roster. I had the media rights, so I'm gonna make money anyway, and I don't really have to compete. And that's the biggest issue. Like you should be competing and going for it every year. That's what makes European soccer so exciting, is that you can't just BS around. And sometimes you'll see like some of the biggest clubs, like Manchester United or
Almost there.
Chelsea, like they will fire 4 coaches before they get relegated. I promise.
And confirm it's been a ride. It's been a ride. But yeah, also yeah, like and kind of to piggyback what you were talking about, Dennis, about when you get sent, relegated, I think it's a good thing because not only do you have to be competitive and feel the best possible team, and it's like a learning experience for not just your coaching staff, but your players and your fans. Like that's a reality of it. But it grows the game to other cities that may not be able to see bigger clubs. Like, could you imagine if it happened in, I don't know, like in MLB for let's say that. Can you imagine if like the Yankees somehow got relegated and now they're like the New York Yankees are playing in
I mean, that'd
Tulsa.
be the shit.
They're
What, a
playing,
minor league stadium, dude, or what?
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be embarrassing right now.
I think that would be cool, but like, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
to grow the game, and that's why I feel like I love watching soccer so much because not just the passion of the fans, and that probably has a lot to do with it because they don't take that for granted being at the top.
They
Like,
take it very seriously.
like
Yeah.
as terrible as Manchester United has been over the years, they found the thing how to float in between. And it's like, no, we ain't getting to the bottom third. No, we ain't going down there because they know what can happen. It's not guaranteed that you're gonna get back up to the Premier League. It's never guaranteed. Like Leicester City's
Isn't it
not.
pretty hard to get promoted though? Like,
What's that?
isn't it like pretty hard to get promoted? Like it doesn't happen too often, or like
It's like
how
the
does it?
bottom. It's like the bottom 3 teams of the top league like go down, and the top 3 teams of the second league go up. So it's like every year, it's just like
Right,
yeah,
it
it's
happens
just
every year, but I guess what I mean is like, isn't it kind of hard, like for once a team gets relegated, isn't it kind of hard to like get a foothold and get back to like, you know what I mean?
Um,
Or or do teams like switch often? Because I was always under the impression like once a team gets relegated, like it's kind of a real uphill battle to get back up to promotion.
well, I always feel like there's random like Premier League teams that I kind of hear about some years, and then they're like Hove Albion Cove or some shit, and they're there, and
Yeah.
then
It's
they're
like, oh,
not, or
good,
Yeah,
man.
like.
5
There's so
years
many damn
ago.
teams and leagues.
I always see it as in like depends on how much money you want to spend. If
Exactly.
you
I,
play
I Yeah.
You'll be fine. If you want to just, oh, if we're just gonna keep the players that we have from you ain't gonna make it.
No, that's what I love too, is puts accountability on the owners, and I'm just reading about this now, and I guess, yeah, so the 2027. So right now they have a Division Two, Division Three, so that's why it's not MLS, but they're gonna launch a Division One to rival MLS. So it's like, I think in order to do that, you have to have bigger stadiums and stuff. So it's like, I don't know, dude, the Roos might be putting themselves, maybe they'll be included in that Division One just initial group or whatever. And ooh, that'd be cool, man. Like, I don't know if because if they're Division One, that means they can technically compete for like Copa Libertadores and everything. That'd be crazy, man. That'd be amazing. Yeah.
I mean, it pressure on the Roots because I can tell you this: if you get relegated, you're probably not going to be playing the Coliseum. So it'll probably put pressure on them to win and win consistently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would have to be one of those like just those premier teams. I mean, if I'm MLS, I'll be like, oh God, this is not good because I can easily see the USL overtaking MLS in terms of popularity because the game. I mean, that's the thing that people are saying on the internet. It's like, oh, the games are going to start mattering more. I mean, I'm like, they should always matter in my opinion, but I get it now.
Right? I
You
paid
have
you to be here.
to
Yeah, this shit matters.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't have owners like John Fisher because he would be
exactly.
relegated, dude. Like he would have been relegated a long time ago because this team's god awful, and he would have to start from scratch to get back up, or I think that would be great for the game. So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, even besides relegation, I mean, there'll be more eyes on John Fisher and the fact that he's had this market to himself, to really establish the Earthquakes brand for so long.
Yeah, that's another point.
The Earthquakes really ain't shit, like, I mean, as far as like the Bay Area sports landscape, like, there's definitely people who care, but there's a lot of people who just do not give a shit about the Earthquakes or about soccer. It's like,
Don't
that's
even know they
partly on
exist.
John Fisher.
Yeah.
That's John
Yeah.
Fisher's fault because as an owner of a franchise, whatever sports franchise, this isn't just soccer or baseball, but whatever franchise you own, I think part of your responsibility is that you're supposed to be a steward of the game. You're supposed to grow the game. You're not just supposed to fucking sit back and count bank. I mean, obviously that's nice to get paid, but part of your responsibility as an owner, as one of the gatekeepers of the sport that you're in, is to help the sport grow and thrive, so that we have the next generation of players ready to dedicate their lives to it. And you look at what's going on with John Fisher. Quakes suck, as far as performance, and also their attendance. Every time I see pictures of Quakes games, it looks pretty sparse in there. And that's a reflection of John Fisher and the fact he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Or really, he doesn't give a shit. Well, probably a little bit of column A and column B. Doesn't know what he's doing, you know?
Basically checks the boxes.
Yeah. He runs, his sports franchises and all his businesses. I understand, a lot of capitalists do it, but it's all about just how can I get this done for the cheapest? What's the lowest bid? I'll take it. It's like I understand, like, hey, you're trying to save a buck, but there's sometimes where you gotta spend a little bit of money. You gotta show people that, hey, I'm investing in my business, so you should invest with me. And I think that's why over the years, a lot of A's fans were turned off because they realized, well, this guy doesn't give a shit about his team. Why should I give a shit? You know? And for maniacs like us who are always going to be there no matter what, like we make up a small portion of the actual fan base of people who are willing to pay. And it's like you don't have to court the maniacs like us. You got to court the casual people who might only go to 3 or 4 games a year, and when it's Saturday night and they want to do some shit and they think, should I go to A's game? Well, no, I shouldn't because all the players I've liked all over the years are fucking gone. Let me go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
He cultivated that. That's what he made. It's like performance on the field, obviously winning cures a lot of shit. But it's like if you win for 2, 3 years, then those guys are all gone. Casual people aren't going to fucking come back. They're going to say, all right, well, thanks for the good times, but you tore that all down. I'm going to find some other shit to do.
Yeah.
Cultivating a fan base in sports, it's not just some one-time shit. It takes a constant effort that happens over years. And it's funny because, when Cavill was brought into the A's, we started seeing him do a little bit more of a 180 as far as like community outreach and saying, actually saying, oh, we're rooted in Oakland, we're dedicated, we're going to stay here and build, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, that's all good and dandy. But you guys are now rolling out that message after, a dozen years of basically telling us, yeah, Oakland ain't shit. We're trying to get out of here. This sucks, blah, blah, blah. Now, after a year or two of, oh, we love you guys again, everyone's supposed to just fucking open their wallets and come back. It's like, no, that shit should have been, 4, 5, 6, 7 year effort to actually really get motherfuckers interested again. And they took a year or two to actually try and make an effort. And then the pandemic happened, and in classic John Fisher fashion, he said, you know what? Fuck it. I don't want to spend that money. Let's just try and do this as cheap as possible because people should like us again. Because for a year or two, I gave half the shit. That's not a way to run a franchise.
I got some breaking news. Our guest is about to hop on in the Zoom.
Oh, I want to ask about this Division One stuff. I think it's crazy, man. Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Look at that. He was like promotion relegation. He just pops in.
Yeah, guess who's at the bottom 5 of the attendance in MLS?
Oh, something tells me San Jose Earthquakes are in there. Who else is in there? I'm curious.
I think Colorado Rapids are in there.
Okay.
Houston Dynamo. I'm surprised the New York Red Bulls are in there. That's embarrassing.
Really? I do forget that they're like an actual team because they have what NYFC. That's like their newest squad.
Yeah, I think a lot of people support them. They play at Yankee Stadium, man. I think
yeah
people love that.
Yeah, I know them because they try to be too much like Man City, and I automatically hate that. So,
well, do you guys think like big picture, like soccer, might be eating some of baseball's audience? I mean, I think it's happening in Oakland's market. Like you see people like who are like for us, for example, who maybe stopped watching MLB and now putting our money towards the USL. Like, do you guys think like I don't know. I wonder if that's just because we're specific example, or if in general, if soccer is going to grow, and then especially the World Cup is coming here in a couple of years, like I wonder, do you guys think it's like a bigger trend, like soccer kind of eating baseball's audience?
I mean, in my opinion, I feel that soccer is. I always listen to the kids now. Like, what do the kids think? Whatever they think is cool, that's what's going to be the most popular because it influences their parents' wallets. The kids always talk about it, and then they grow up loving this. But I've noticed this trend that there's way more soccer jerseys in public worn by younger people, and it's not because of a trend, then I see baseball hats or jerseys now. So I think it's slowly happening in the US. I know in the world, like soccer is the most popular, which I can see why. But yeah, I think that MLB has lost their grip on reality when it comes to what the fans want. They continuously just ruin the game in more ways than one. I can't even name anything without naming like a whole boatload of reasons why. But I don't know. I in my personal opinion, I think soccer is going to overtake the baseball in the U.S. at some point.
Is that Edreece?
Idris, are you on the
What's
line?
up, fellas?
What up, man?
I'm on the
Welcome.
line. You guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hell yeah. I apologize that I'm off camera, man. I just got out of the Coliseum. So, logging in.
It's all good.
Hot and fresh out the Collie. So,
yeah, man. We were talking. We had like a brief discussion about Fans Fest, and then we were talking about the Coliseum. And yeah, just before we get started, Idris, would you like to give everyone like a brief background of who you are and what you do working with the club?
Yeah, man. Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me. I really, really appreciate it. I wish I could have joined a little earlier to be in those conversations, but getting ready for this epic game around the corner. But if folks don't know, my name is Edreece Arghandiwal. I'm a first generation, born in Oakland, raised in the Bay Area my whole life. I live in downtown. My family resides here. This place has been the birth of my sporting memories. My first sports experience was at an athletics game at the Coliseum. As a young buck, I thought I was going to be the next Afghan Giambi. and that was the start. That was the start of the bug. And I played obviously soccer my whole life. My sister played professionally. My father was a coach back in Afghanistan. His brother was a national team goalkeeper for Afghanistan. So soccer ran deep in the blood. Even though baseball was my first sport, I picked up a soccer ball, fell in love, and gosh, several years later, coming back to Oakland after college and getting my master's, the question of why not pro soccer in Oakland came up. And in those early days, that's when obviously I met you guys, and we were building this concept of like, what would a pro soccer team look like? We weren't even called the Roots at that stage. We were just a bunch of crazy ass people just trying to do something different. And 6-7 years later, we're all at the Coliseum, and we're about to hit 26,000 sold out this Saturday, which is mind-boggling and humbling at the same time, mate.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a huge, huge moment in Oakland sports history. It's a huge moment in Oakland. We were discussing earlier, we haven't felt the vibe and excitement for a game at the Oakland Coliseum in years. How are you feeling leading up to the days? I know that the nerves are going. Have they gone down a bit?
Yeah.
What's going on with you?
Oh man, you guys are catching me in an insane moment in that, like, I'm literally walking out of the Coliseum. I just got out, and I'm looking at our video board playlist and the show for the game, and we're tidying up things. We're envisioning 26,000 people in love and people coming together. And, it's hard to describe when you're working so hard to make something happen. You put everything into it. You're just in it, and it's hard to know the depth of that moment until it actually happens, especially because we're so close to it. So I don't know, man. Like, I think the feeling I feel right now is just immense gratitude, man, that like 26,000 people are wanting to experience this, and the Roots, if the Roots can play, and Soul can play any role in just making people happy and like putting joy in people's lives, like that's a major win. And I've never put on an experience for 26,000 people. So I think Saturday is going to be a bit of a awakening moment, humbling, grateful, excited for the community to just turn a page and to focus on the future, and that's what I'm most excited about. But definitely tired, for sure. Yeah.
Man.
How are you guys feeling? I mean, what's your guys' vibe and energy right now? You're just as much a part of it as we are, so.
Yeah, we're excited. We're also mentioning earlier, or I did, it's gonna just be like finally get a tailgate. We can go. We're not worrying about a team trying to relocate. Ironically, a team is trying to relocate back to Oakland, So, I mean, that's gonna feel good. I'm excited to look at people and, see people's reactions who are first seeing the Roots live in person. That's gonna be cool. The community is gonna come out together. We're gonna be seeing old friends that we haven't seen in months or years. That's gonna be fun. I don't know. I'm excited for it. How about you guys?
I just want to see the Coliseum come back to life. Like I just think it's so cool, dude. Like I mean, it's like you're reanimating Frankenstein or something, dude. Like it's so cool. Like it's gonna be like I don't know. It's gonna be like that place is like for me, it's like probably like the holiest place on earth, to be honest. Like if I had a church, that's probably my church, And to know that it's gonna be like restored, like it's cool, man. And also, I know this is going to be a big event, but the fact you guys are going to be there all summer, I think is really cool. So, I mean, I hope you guys stay there as long as you can until you get a nice, beautiful place at Howard Terminal or whatever you're talking about. But yeah.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's so important for us right now to have stability, man. I mean, I was just thinking about the past 7 years and just moving around because there's no professional soccer venue, and we had complexities at each stage with each venue, and like, 2 years ago, we had to pick up and move to a completely different, city, and that's like, it's very difficult to do, especially when you spend so much of your time marketing in Oakland. The first years were literally here. It was Laney and being shook up, and we had to, figure out how to continue to persist. And East Bay for us was a pathway, to just keep the ball kicking, and the fans supported us to do that, thick and thin. I actually remember a few years ago when we were at at Adams Bar in Jack London, and
Volcan?
we were talking, Old Ken, and we were talking about like what the future of Oakland Roots is going to look like, and I was doubling down on like we for sure are going to figure out a way to come back, and we don't exist without Oakland in our name, in our identity, and Hayward and all these other adjacent communities. Majority of their culture and identity is actually shaped by Oakland. So they love and appreciate Oakland as much as we love and appreciate ourselves, and they are going to come now to support this cause, and we're going to see the entire East Bay pull up, which is exciting. So, and it's funny, and bro, you mentioned that like we're Frankensteining the venue. It's so beautiful right now. Like it's cleaned up, and the ASM team has done an amazing job of just getting the venue up to speed and making it look fresh and different. And I think people are going to come there Saturday, and they're going to experience something a little different. And that's the hope, is like a little bit of nostalgia, because obviously know your roots, knowing where you come from helps you know where you're going. But we got to put a new spin on it to make people remember new things. And exciting. Amazing.
Yeah, it's like for sure, having people relive memories and have that happen, but also to leave with something new that's unique because you're gonna have your own identity because you're adding to the legacy of the Coliseum.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, you've experienced a lot of cool moments in the history of the Oakland Roots, like the first match in club history, the first playoff match. You've,
Mm.
you've how would you, and now you're coming back to the Coliseum. How would you rank coming to the Coliseum, playing at the Oakland Coliseum, the legendary Oakland Coliseum for the season opener, or not season, the home opener? I'm sorry, just home opener. Where does this rank up to you?
Bro, this is it. For me, it was very, very close to is the first game ever at Laney College. It's a very vivid memory of turning 30 at that game. It was literally on my 30th birthday. I was listening to Childish Gambino's Telegraph Ave. He talks about turning 30 in Oakland in that song, and I was just like, this is a trip. I can't believe we're here. And it was it. Like when I saw that game and I saw that moment, it was the most validating thing that's ever happened in my life. Like the brand building process, the curation of the experience, and then for fans and family and friends to show up and appreciate it was like, oh, okay, we got something here, and I'm gonna double down. And then ever since, we haven't looked back, man. And for me, this is number one. I mean, Coliseum is just unbelievable. To play there, and my father as an Afghan refugee, that place shaped his life, and understanding of sport. And to be back there with the family there, and in the circumstance too of Oakland and where things currently are with the sports teams leaving and us trying to really fill this void and turn a page, it's really, really important, and I don't take that lightly at all, bro. So it's definitely number 1, 2, and 3 for me, no doubt.
Jeez, I can't even I can't even imagine. Just it's been a long road to get back to Oakland, so everyone's excited to check you out. And like I was mentioning earlier, there's like this buzz going on around Oakland, around everywhere in the Bay. I feel like um, playing at the Coliseum means something to people. It's somewhere a place where I grew up myself. Everyone in this room grew up themselves. Um, there's also people who want to go to the game. They've heard about the Roots, but they don't necessarily they're kind of on the fence on going because they're not a fan of the sport or they're not be too familiar. What is what would you have to say to them? Like, why should they come out and support the Roots, even if it's Oakland, they may not know what's going on. They don't know the rules. Like, what do you usually tell people to sell them on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, one, I just want to state the importance of winning culture, because I think, for us as an organization, it's, we place high priority on doing well. We try to be excellent off the field, and it's the same on the field. And we've had a difficult past year. And I think it's important that we go into the Coliseum with very high energy and we leave it all out there and we present Oakland with a winning product because that's what it deserves. We want to win championships, but we also want to do good in the community. It's not one or the other, right? And so that's one thing. And I think exciting football will attract people that like football, right? But then there's the other group of fans that really are about just enjoying the vibe and enjoying the experience. My whole philosophy has always been like, if you are creating things that are not providing value to people, then it just won't work. And I place high value on our net promoter score, which is a measure of how likely it is for someone to promote our games. After every game, we send a survey, and that survey tells us whether or not they're enjoying the experience or not. I know for a fact the most powerful marketing tool is word of mouth, and we've had the lowest paid advertisement budget in the league historically up until this year because we just place value on people talking about the experience. And so I think people, all walks of life, will enjoy a Roots game because of the food, because of the music, because of the diversity. The football is a little bit extra and it adds a little flavor to it. And that's mostly been the case. I mean, we've had musical performances that most soccer teams and or professional teams could not even dream of. If I just like pulled up the roster of people, it's insane and they're all local Oakland Bay Area folks. So it's everything, man. It's Oakland, right? It's not just soccer. Soccer is just a vehicle.
Short dogs in the house.
I was about to say, Bray got
Yeah.
too short at halftime. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm excited.
It's very exciting.
Anything y'all? I don't want to keep running the show over here. Anything you guys want to ask Edreece while he's on with us?
I got. Well, I don't know, Denny and Kevin. I don't want to hijack this thing. But you guys got something to say or what?
No, you're good, man. It's all good.
I'm just curious about, is Clay? I got a question for Edreece. Is Clay Wood is he on board at the Coliseum keeping that thing? Because I've seen. I think I saw a tweet like you mentioned Clay Wood. Is he like on board all season, helping you guys out with the field?
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
Legend Clay Wood. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, legend Clay Wood. Yeah, he we just actually filmed the Kid to You piece on Clay and his amazing work at the Coliseum and his legacy. That should be airing, I think, in the next day or so. So keep a lookout on that. But he's amazing. His whole groundskeeping crew are just really fantastic, man. And we brought him in alongside ASM, and Clay is going to be keeping care of our field. And I think we'll probably have like the best playing surface in all of North American soccer because of that guy and his team. So we're very excited. And, we were out there the other day and he had his pup out there, just a really solid, humble guy. Great to get to know him. And, when someone spends time, 30 years, I think he's been with the A's, right? That's a lot, that's a lot of experience and a lot of wisdom, and we couldn't let that go, So.
That's awesome. That makes me happy, dude. Clay is like such a key part of the Coliseum and everything. So, because I'm sure it's gonna look beautiful, and there's not gonna be any dirt. It's gonna be pure Clay Wood grass. Like, oh, that's gonna be nice. Yeah,
bro. Listen, with all of our field issues in the past, that's not one for this game. All right, that's like we're not gonna have any field problems at all this year. So yeah, that's one thing I'm excited about.
Actually, well, so earlier we were talking about how the USL is gonna deal with like promotion and relegation. How did you guys feel about this whole idea?
Yeah, we are very excited about it. I mean, the teams in the league have to vote on it for it to pass, and we were certainly supportive. So we think it's important that like things are merit based. Winning in competition and sporting cultures is about merit. It's about earning your stripes. And, your abilities. And I think American sport in general, with all of their like territories and rights and franchises, has really ruined the core of what sport actually is, which is competition, you know? So we're at the forefront. I mean, when we started in 2019, we were in a Division III league called NISA, and then we moved up to USL Championship, and then USL Championship didn't have a women's league. They started USLW. Now they have a USL Super League, which is Division 1, and so we'll play there in that division next year. And then you have this promotion relegation news, and we're at the forefront of it with breaking a USL record attendance number this Saturday. It's just like, it's so crazy cool to see us at the forefront of all of this. And Oakland, certainly everyone knows that name, and they will in American soccer moving forward. So it's exciting.
Definitely. Yeah. Go ahead.
Is there like a seating requirement? Like, because I think isn't it like 18,000 for MLS? Like, is there like certain requirements that you need to be Division 1? And like, does being in the Coliseum perhaps help you guys like heading into 27?
Yeah, I mean, we would be one of the few teams that actually has a venue that would be compliant at the Coliseum. I think Louisville is another venue that has the capacity requirements. I think it's 12.5 or 15 is the minimum to be Division 1, and there's other amenities and facility structures that need to be in place for you to be considered Division 1. But we, alongside a few others, would qualify, and I think the league would really emphasize current championship teams elevating to have infrastructure to match Division 1 standards by the time 27 comes around. So,
anything else you like to add? What should the people know day of game, especially those who haven't been to a soccer game at the Coliseum?
Yeah, this weekend, super excited. 4 p.m. is when the gates open for parking. That's an important thing to note. That will really allow you to get into the tailgating and experience all the amazing. I know you guys are working on something really special there. Others will be there. We're advocating for everyone to come out and enjoy the tailgating experience and vibe. And then at 5:30, our stadium gates will open and people can flow into the plaza. We're shutting down the plaza this game as a part of the ticketing experience to create local vendor interaction. There will be special merch drops there. We'll have our partners there, a DJ at the mezzanine level with a band. And then as we start to get closer to the game, there's going to be a lot of pregame entertainment. We're planning on retiring the number 24 to honor Ricky Henderson at the game. And then obviously Too Short at half and a really special fireworks show post game. So bundle up. It might get a little chilly, but we're excited to see everyone out there, man.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very excited to watch some Oakland Root soccer at the Oakland Coliseum. We said it before, I'll say it again. If you would like to sit with us to watch a game at the Oakland Coliseum, we sit in section 107. We have a ticket link with some discounted tickets for you guys, so you can save a couple bucks because it's rough out in these streets, you know? Thanks again, Edreece, for joining us tonight on episode 7 of the Oakland podcast. Good luck on Saturday. I know you don't need it, but let's get that.
Thank you, guys.
First dub.
Nah, man, we need all the good energy and love as possible. Thank you guys for all the support over the years. This is a dub for you guys, for everyone that's been day ones with us. So thank you. And I'll see y'all Saturday.
Thank you, Reese. Let's go Oakland.